Today, we're going to talk about more than just self care. A lot of people think self care is just me time, is taking time out. Self care is a lot more than that as you work through caring for your aging parent or your aging loved one, whoever they are. I'm Suzanne with caregiverhaven.com, and welcome to this webinar. We're going to explain how important the whole envelope, the complexities of self care is, and how you can look at the different pieces. For example, if you think having a system in place to go to the doctor and ask the right questions at the right time, have the senior speak up, know what your senior needs when they're at the doctor's office, what they don't want, finding the right doctor. All of that is a part of self care. Why? Because if you leave that doctor's office and you're worried about what is going to happen, what's the treatment plan, why do they have to go get an MRI, why did the doctor order this medication, what else could we have done instead? If you're worried about things like that, that how do I say it? That attacks your self care in that it worries you. Okay? So, having a practice in place where you have practiced so well in going to the doctor's office that you know exactly the right questions to ask, when to ask them, the right doctors to find, the treatments you agree on, the outcome that you look positively toward, okay? You don't worry. You don't leave the office worried. So, self care, what I'm saying, is more than just me time. Self care is actually involving a lot of practices, a lot of scripts. So you learn over and over again and you do it so well, especially going to the emergency room. You've done it so well that you have mastered the emergency room. And having worked in the emergency room for years, I can show you and I have told you how to handle the emergency room. But our topic today is self care. And I want you to realize that it encompasses more than just the me time. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, we're going to spot the emotional landmines before they explode. And we're going to talk about the scripts and the tones. We've got to talk about the quick self care resets that we can do in the middle of chaos, where we can actually say, you know what, it's going to be okay. Because oftentimes, as a caregiving advocate and helping families through a crisis, the minute I walked in, everybody took a breath. And it was just because they knew I was there. I walked through the door and they're like, Suzanne's here. It's going to be okay. And it was. Why? Because I could remain calm when they were in chaos. And we're going to look at daily rituals you can do as well as safety plans, and then building your confidence, which is where I want you at, because I've seen so many caregivers actually have this kind of confidence. They can go to Europe and travel. They can go around the world and travel. They take off every 10 weeks, every 9 weeks, and they're gone again, gone again. It's like, who is taking care of mom and dad? Who's taking care of the husband? Don't they feel lonely? Don't they feel left behind? No, they are overjoyed that their loved one, who is the main caregiver, is taking off and living the life that they want while they are being cared for. There is a whole new movement toward getting the caregiver, you, to a place where you love the life you live while caring for the one you love. So, first of all, let's be honest. The word self care can almost feel insulting. Okay. Why? Because who has time for bubble baths, right? When your parent is up at 2 in the morning demanding help, or when every day feels like a fire drill. But the truth is, most caregivers aren't afraid of missing sleep or eating fast food once in a while. What they're really afraid of, what you're really afraid of, is breaking down, losing your cool when your senior lashes out or refuses to help, or spirals or says something mean to you. And then you feel guilty because you've lashed out at this person who you're trying to help, and you know they love you and they feel badly or guilty about the fact that you have to take care of them. But the thing is, they're going to love you anyway, regardless of what you say to them. And you have to get past that. So we're going to reframe self care from indulgence to survival, and survival with grace and joy. So if you have ever been accused of stealing, screamed at during a meltdown, or begged to go home when your senior is already home, you know how shocking it feels. These are emotional landmines. They appear suddenly, and they're often without warning and can shake you to your core. And most of us confess that these moments hurt more than the physical work. Why? Because they're personal. They're personal to us. The person that walks into a memory care unit to see their loved one, and their loved one is crying and says, I want to go home, it breaks our heart. But the truth is that these moments usually come from confusion, fear, or disease, not from who your loved one truly is. So recognizing this helps you to step back, see the bigger picture. And it's important for you because it prevents you from internalizing these hurtful words. You know this person is safe. You know this person needs to be there. And you're doing the best that you can by placing them there. Now, I'm not going to tell you that that place is always the best place for them if they don't need memory care. For instance, in my own family, when I placed my mom in a senior care facility I thought she would like, a community, she hated it. And she, in 30 days, lost 30 pounds, and it's called failure to thrive. And I knew she was dying. I knew she was so unhappy she wasn't eating. Even though this place was telling me she was eating, I knew she wasn't. There was no way. So I moved her to a second place, and that place was just as bad. She never came out of her room. She stayed there. She was lonely. She missed me. She'd lived with me for years, and with the kids growing up, she was miserable. And it took my sister to find a place where she could get involved with the activities and the people that she could respond to and talk to. And it was just a whole different environment for her. And she brightened right up because these were people that the senior care facility had um, Pulitzer Prize people coming in to talk, speakers. They went to shows and plays, and they did all sorts of other things that my mom could relate to, and she loved it. So I had her in the wrong facilities, and I had to recognize that, but it still broke my heart to see this failure to thrive. So, what's really going on in their brain? And when behavior shifts, and your aging parent, your aging loved one is going to shift, it feels like betrayal, but it's not. It's really biology. They can only do so much, and they know they're going to make mistakes. And when they make mistakes, they feel that awful ugh feeling. Oh, I shouldn't have done that, or I forgot that person's name. Then there's also dementia, and there's medication side effects, and there's even dehydration that can make someone accuse, resist, or lash out. So think of the brain as a map where there are certain roads, and these roads are blocked, and your senior is forced to take strange detours that don't make sense to you. This is who they are right now. They're not coping as well as they did yesterday. And when you know the root cause, you can respond with compassion instead of fear. And one of the things I tell you first and foremost is always, always get their medication list, as well as all the over the medications, creams and powders, everything they're doing, putting on their body or in their body. Take it to the pharmacist. Sit down with an hour with the pharmacist for a consultation and say, do any of these things have side effects, interactions? What this is any just explain to me. And as the pharmacist explains to you the side effects and the interactions, and you start to think maybe that's why mom doesn't eat, because an hour after she takes her pill, she's not hungry anymore. Maybe her medication is keeping her up at night. And we've seen this over and over again. And all it is an adjustment in time as to when they take their medication with or without food, but not with their vitamins and minerals, which are also intakes, as we say. So you have to put those on the list for the pharmacist. And you learn that, hey, this is a problem. And you take that to their physician or physicians and say, this medication regimen with all the powders, the creams, the vitamins and minerals are not working for my mom. Here is why. And we need to change the regimen. And you'd be shocked. So there's more to it than just them lashing out at you, them not eating, them not wanting to drink water, them not sleeping, them getting up all night to pee. There's more that there's more to that. But first and foremost, part of self-care is going through this medication list and saying, hold up, maybe once I get this element out of the way, everything else will work better. So that's why it's so important. Shift the fear from curiosity to problem solving. And I promise you, when you know that you've done everything right with the medication, the pharmacist has reviewed it, it's not a problem. You don't worry. Okay. And the truth is, your loved one mirrors your state. And if you're rushed, tense, or defensive, their stress level is going to rise. It's absolutely true. We know this. We have all been there where our parents are upset when we were growing up. We were worried about them. When our parents were happy, we weren't worried about them. When our teachers were worried, when the classroom was in chaos, we were in chaos. But when there was order, we were calm. So think about how your parent is responding to you. If you stay grounded, even when the chaos swirls, you become the anchor in the storm. This is a matter of sitting down, holding their hands, facing them knee to knee, which means putting your knees to their knees, talking to them at that level where you're face to face. It doesn't mean you have to be perfect, but it does reset the emotional flares that are going to come up. And sometimes just a deep breath. One single breath is going to make the difference. So with self-care, choose this steadiness, this take a deep breath, count 10 seconds, and just start to relax. It's a skill that you can learn. It's not hard to learn. Just stay steady. That lighthouse is not going to move. It is the guiding light. You are that lighthouse. And then in heated moments, the brain is going to freeze. Why? Because the brain can't think. The emotions are swirling around like a tidal wave, and they're going to take over. So that's why having ready-made scripts for you, ready for you, so that you say something like, I'm here, you're safe, let's sit down together, calm these things down, calm down. Think about your position. Are you standing over your loved one, or are you standing under your loved one? One of the things I learned early in my teaching career with my high school students was if they were upset, I would go to their desk and I would go down on one knee so I was lower than them. They knew I wasn't a threat. They knew I was listening. And sometimes I said to them, this is what you said. This is what I heard. Two different things. And then I'd say, tell me again. So it's a way of understanding where they're coming from. And how many times have I done this, gotten on that one knee and got down lower than the senior and said, holding their hand and saying, or putting my hand on their forearm and saying, tell me again, in a nice way, in a calm way. It's going to give you confidence, absolutely, in unpredictable situations. It really is. If you calm, they will mirror you. And you may not remember the exact words somebody said to you, but you will remember their tone. Seniors are the same way. Their brains are going to struggle to process, the complex sentences, but the tone and the pace are going to carry more weight than the words. So a soft voice and sometimes whispering is extremely important. When you whisper, they'll whisper. And a funny story here I will quickly tell you is when I was in the office one day practicing medicine and I had laryngitis and I couldn't talk, so I had to whisper. And I went in the room and said, I'm sorry, I just have laryngitis and I can't talk. And all my patients whispered back to me. It's like I could hardly hear them. I was like, oh my gosh. But they were whispering because I was whispering. So this is what happens. Just, remember that you're in a foreign country, okay? And your tone is the only language you're going to understand. It becomes your lifeline, your tone. So, how is your tone? It's going to teach you to tweak those impacts, okay? Can you say something with a smile instead of a frown? And then self care. Again, it doesn't just mean the me time. It means sometimes you just leave the house. Sometimes you just get a sip of water. Sometimes it's just going to the restroom. Sometimes it's just turning on a song and putting on headphones for a minute to hear your favorite songs. Just that will make the difference. So stack what I like to do is, because we all face these situations. We all face times that we dread making that phone call, or we dread meeting that person, or we just don't want to do this, or this doesn't feel good. Whatever it is, if even traffic can bother people. So what is it? What are those micro moments you're going to build into your life? They're micro self-care. What are they going to be? Are we going to turn on the radio? Are we going to listen to bad news? Or are we going to listen to music, which is going to lift our spirits? Are we not going to worry about getting home because of the traffic? Because we know somebody else is there taking care of our loved one. So think about those micro moments. What are the things that we want to do? How do you know you're stressed? You're yelling at the other person. You're short with the other person. You say things you probably don't want to say. You shouldn't have said. Especially when you get on the phone with somebody who you can't understand them. Their accent is too thick. You can't understand what they're saying, and you're calling for customer service and they're not giving you the answers you want, and they're just telling you whatever they want to tell you. And you're like, oh my gosh, I here's what I need, and they're not giving it to you. What is your level of stress there? And where are your micro self-care moments? If you bring those out and you practice those and you say, what is going to make me feel good today? What are those self-care moments that are going to make me feel good? And you're ready with them, you're going to be 10 times better when an event occurs, because you can pull those out of your back pocket. Okay, so after your meltdown, now your body's going to carry that leftover stress, right? Your cortisol level is up. It's just like static electricity. The hairs on your arms, your legs are just shot forward straight up. So you have to reset. You have to let this go. One of the things seniors have learned, as back in the my old seniors, I'm talking about the ones that learned it back in the 20s and 30s, which there's not a lot of them anymore, but these seniors learned that let it be and let it go. And they learned this because they were raised during the Depression where there was nothing else to have. They learned that they couldn't ask for more because there wasn't more. They learned to let it go. They learned that you just let it be. And this is why a lot of seniors and their children raised in the 40s, 50s, and 60s have an element of that with them, that they just don't want to talk about it. They just let it go because they're not going to be, they were taught you can't change it. You can't ask for something that isn't there. And you don't have a right to ask for something that isn't there because everybody was struggling. They were struggling to get out of the crash of the 1929 market. And then as they were struggling to get out of there, all of a sudden came World War II, which means that there was a group of people that watched their fathers and grandfathers die in World War I, and no sooner did they turn around and get born, and the next thing you know, they saw their brothers and even some of them, their fathers and children, die in World War II. And they just didn't ask for a lot. So you're carrying, and I go to this because we have to learn to reset like they did. Just look at something that's going to make a difference in your life. So these stops are going to reset and actually stop the stress that builds up. So just let it go. Let it go. It's over. It's done with. It's in the past. Okay, spotting your breaking point. So what we often do is we miss the warning signs that we're about to snap until we've already snapped. So your body usually will whisper something like this to you before it starts to scream. You'll have a clenched jaw or racing thoughts or tight shoulders. These are signals and you can feel them coming on. It might even be that it's today's mom's time for a shower and she fights me on it all the time. She doesn't want to take a shower and I'm already uptight about it. Well, look at that. Look at the fact that you're already uptight about it. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to give mom the options that I talk about so often, the choices, the alternatives to taking a shower that day if she fights you on it? Are you going to look at, hey, mom, once we get the shower done, we're going to go to the park or we're going to go out for an ice cream treat. We're going to go to the ice cream store. What is it that you're going to do because you know mom's going to say no? She doesn't want to do this. Think about your tension. How are you going to breathe through it, get through it, and enjoy the moment afterwards, letting the frustration go? The most resilient caregivers don't wait until this meltdown. They they listen when the body starts whispering and they actually curb it to the side and find the alternatives. So imagine if you had a fire drill ready before the fire. That's what the emotional safety plan does. So you write down 3 steps you're going to take when emotions spike. Maybe breathing, stepping away, calling a sibling. When you have a plan, panic doesn't take over. And you don't need a perfect solution, just a safe one. Most of us who prepare in advance handle this chaos with more calm because we're not scrambling at the last moment. You don't need to react immediately. Sit back and think first. Don't speak. And a big trick is if you don't speak, typically someone else will. People don't like to sit in silence staring at each other. So if you don't say anything, if you ask your mom or dad, hey, I can't let you drive, you're not going to be able to drive right now, and you stay quiet, they're usually going to talk. And you stay quiet, and they're going to talk some more. And you stay quiet, they're going to talk some more. And no matter what they say, when you say, I understand, I understand. Understand is very generic. I understand is a very generic response. And they're going to keep talking, and they're going to talk and talk and talk. And sometimes they talk themselves right out of whatever they're trying to do. Sometimes they see the logic behind it and they go off and do something else. So don't feel that you have to get involved with that conversation. You can stay quiet too. One of the hardest emotions that we feel is that we carry guilt. And we have to reframe guilt because we have guilt for needing our own time. We have guilt for feeling angry. We have guilt for wishing that this was over. We have guilt for not loving this person today, not being graceful with this person, not understanding more. But here's the truth: needing rest or feeling angry or not loving this person today doesn't mean we don't love them. It just means that today's a hard day. It just means that we need something else. We can have both. We can still love another person and still have and feel like we don't love them today. It's okay to feel that way. You don't have to tie one thing into another. So instead of saying I feel guilty, maybe saying I feel human. Because being human means we're going to learn. We're going to learn by the things we do, and we're going to be better. Humans can always improve. Humans will always improve. No matter what mistakes we make in life, we will learn from them. Whereas our successes, we don't often understand. But we don't learn, and we don't maybe learn from them, but we learn from our mistakes. So be aware of those whispers in your life. And it's important because if we release this self judgment, we're not so toxic to the people around us anymore. So think of these rituals like anchors that you throw down each day. Maybe it's getting up 15 minutes early to have that morning coffee. Maybe it's lighting a candle. Maybe it's listening to meditation music while you're getting ready for bed. All of these things bring you back to a safe, steady zone. There are thousands of things out there I've seen caregivers do, but you figure out what you want to do. You figure out what's important to you, what calms you back down in the moment. Keep these rituals handy. Vary them every day. Make sure that you have a bunch of them, because some days some of them won't work, but other ones will. And those that work today may not work tomorrow. So give yourself some grace by picking a bunch of them and see what works for you, at least in the moment. And I once had a caregiver who told me that her mother, who had dementia, accused her of poisoning her dinner. And in that moment, she just wanted to defend herself. Instead, she remembered that it wasn't her mom, it was the disease talking. And she calmly said, I'll eat with you and show you it's safe. And her mom relaxed, the storm passed, and actually what she ended up doing was just splitting the meal with her mom. And later she admitted it was the hardest thing she did, but it was the proudest thing she did. Why? Because she breathed through that moment. She realized it's not mom. Mom knows I wouldn't poison her food, but it was her disease that was talking. And so just by calming her and showing her that I was there for her, it made a difference. So look at your strategies that you're using in life. How are they working for you? And if they're not, change the scripts. There are also times when we know we have to walk away. There are times if you feel unsafe or your patience is gone, it's okay to step away into another room, call for backup, or delay the task. You're not abandoning your senior by doing this. You're actually protecting the relationship from damage. So walk away. There's only Stephen Covey talks about depositing relationships into the bank, good feelings, we deposit those. But when we've withdrawn so many good moments and all we have left are the bad moments, look at that basket of emotions, look at that relationship and say, there's nothing left in this basket. How am I going to put more good memories back in? That's stepping away, cooling down. It's okay to do that. And it's it's better for you, it's better for them when you protect that relationship. And the other thing is, this caregiving journey is not for you to do alone. I can't emphasize this enough. Once we start building a team of people around the senior, even seniors that have refused help, have said, I don't want anybody else to help me, I'm fine by myself, you would be shocked how much they fall in love when they finally get help. They love that person. They can't wait to, oh, that person's here. They can be screaming at you at one moment, but the caregiver walks through the door and they're like, oh, hello. Oh, I'm so happy. And you're like, wait a minute, they were just yelling at me and now they're happy at that person. What just changed? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that they were yelling at you and now they're happy to see that person. Let that go. Find a moment to breathe through it. They're happy to see that person. Many times they originally refuse, but building this team, and I'm not talking about just um, the first string on a team. My caregivers that I have helped and taught, we build first string, second string, and third string. What do I mean by that? Let's say that I need somebody to take mom to the doctor because I can't do it anymore. So I need somebody to take mom to all her specialists and all her treatment plans, like imaging studies, follow-up visits, prevention, office, all this stuff, physical therapy. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm not a medicine person, let's say, and I don't want to do it anymore. So I find not one person, not two people, but three people. I find first string, second string, and third string people that I can call and say, Mom has an appointment with the doctor at 8 o'clock on Tuesday morning. Can you take her? No. Okay. You call the second person, you call the third person, and you see if they can take them. Okay. So you have backups. And the other thing is, you don't burn people out. You have to have a team. Football teams don't go on the field with 11 players. They have another 120 players on the sidelines that may never even get on the field, but they've got them. That's what I want you to think about. I want you to be a coach in caregiving. You're the caregiving coach. You're going to get this team in place. It's important. It's never meant to be solo. Never has been, never will be. It's not the story you want to write. And then don't forget these small self-care rituals, because they are going to stick. They're very doable. Maybe putting just lotion on your hands, maybe washing your hands. Things like this just make a small difference. What is it you want to feel, taste, smell, hear, see? These are our senses. And when we put these senses into good use and we value the things that we're seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, all of these things, when we start to feel better. So don't forget to put those in place. And then as you go through these and you see that wait a minute, my body was whispering to me before I exploded on this one thing. Mom didn't want to take her medication. Every day we have a fight about this. But today I'm going to breathe through it. I know that I've got, my 10-second ritual ahead. I've got 10-second rituals after. And you start to build this confidence, and you handle the next storm and the next storm and the next storm. It's exactly what I said at the beginning, is working in the ER and seeing people who knew how to work the ER, and we got through it just fine, and those people that just were in a panic, and calming them down, and those that knew how to get their loved one through the ER and safely and knew what was going on, especially in the ER or the doctor's office or the hospital or surgery or whatever it was. Okay. versus those that didn't know. You become so confident at it. You're like, I've done this a million times. I could probably go into a profession of caregiving and help other families because I know exactly what to do. That's where I want you to be. You own that. Be that. That's something you can take a possession of, is being the caregiver that everybody is jealous of. Because you go and do and you live your life the way you want to live it while you have the grace to take care of another human being. It's pretty cool. So, what we learned today: spot those emotional landmines, scripts, tones, get down on one knee, get below them, take a breath, whisper to them, recognize your own whispers in your own body. Get those daily rituals in place first. Figure out what works for you. What do you like to hear? What do you like to see? What do you like to taste? What do you like to smell? What do you like to touch? What feels good on your skin or in your hands? Do that. Put those down. Vary them. See what works for you today. And remember, it may not work tomorrow, but you have a whole basket full of these rituals that you can do to breathe through the moment. That's self-care. Taking time off. And we talk about boundaries, but that's a whole nother subject. And if you have any questions, let me know. I'll be glad to help you and answer anything that you're going through. Trust me, you're not the first person that's had this problem, and you won't be the last person that has this problem. But you will learn the skills, you will practice them, you will get so good at them that you become, like I said, the confident caregiver that everybody is jealous of. You can have this, and we'll talk soon. Take care.